Well, hello and welcome. It's Pauline once again. Here I am with our Quilting is So Simple program, making the exquisite quilt. Hope you're going okay with your homework. Remember, I'd love you to have a lot of blocks drawn up by the time we get to our quilting. So it's going to be the episode after this one. So get all your designs drawn up on all of those blocks. In this episode, we're going to talk basic straight lines. Now, you might like to start your quilting journey. If you've never quilted before and you're a little bit hesitant about things, this block would be a perfect one for you to start with. This is B4, and there's no rhyme or reason which block you start quilting in this whole program. You could start with any one of them. You can, as I said in the last episode, you can quilt any design you desire. I'm going to put some challenges out to you with the different designs I'm showing you how to do, because I know every one of you watching can quilt any design you want once we show you how simple it is to set up your sewing machine. So, block B4, cut 11 by 11. So all we're doing is marking out our stitching lines. We're not going to mark both lines, we're only going to mark every other line, because when we quilt, we're just going to simply move our needle over and we're going to use the side of our foot. So I'm going to draw this design up on paper, once again, so you can see it. I've got my B4, 11 by 11. I've got my ½ inch drawn all the way around the outside. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my 12 by 6 inch ruler, and I'm simply going to come in approximately 7/8 of an inch from the edge of my paper or the edge of my fabric. Okay, so we'll do that. Oops, my pencil didn't draw, didn't press hard enough. So 7/8 of an inch all the way around. So if you didn't want to mark that ½ inch, it doesn't matter. You don't need to, but I did just so I could reference it for you. 7/8. Now that 7/8 mark is the little mark before the 1 inch. So you don't have to look for it. Oh, my pencil's not drawing nicely at all. I think it may be running out of ink. Okay. So there we have that. Now from that 7/8 of an inch mark, I'm going to mark 2 inches, 2 inch intervals. If you want, if you don't think you can move your needle over on your machine, now move your ruler over to the 1/4 inch mark and draw a 1/4 inch from that 2 inch line. Now come over 2 inches. A 1/4 inch, but if you don't want to mark the 1/4 inch in, you don't have to. And you just keep going over till you get that all done both ways. Very, very simple. Then we'll finish up with 2 inch line, and then we should have a 1/4 inch, and then we come back the other way, 2 inches. So do you get the idea? Let's not make it difficult. But you know, as we work through the program, we may even come back and put something inside those squares if you're feeling really confident. You know, there's so many different options out there. There's the rule, we break it. We just find something that looks really good with the area that we're quilting. So you could do this on the diagonal if you want. It doesn't need to be straight. You could have come through the diagonal and worked out your measurements. 2 inches. And then we'll end up with our 1/4 inch. So that gives us room to trim this block back and make some nice features of that. So that's B4 if you wanted to quilt this grid into your block. The next one we're going to do is we're going to work on F2. Once again, straight lines. And as you can see, this is a 9 by 11 inch cut block. No need to draw the lines on the outside, even though I have on the paper, just so you can reference it. But what we're going to do is we're going to find the centre point. So it will be from the 1/2 inch lines that we've drawn, it will be 8 inches. Sorry, it'll be 10 inches because it's 11 inches cut. So we'll mark at the 5 and it's 8 across. So we'll come to the 4 inch. So there's our centre point. Now you might like to come and put a centre point up the top, a centre point at the bottom, a centre point at the sides. Oops, just get it lined up. And a centre point. Now you've been watching me use all different rulers in these episodes. I love using the 12 by 12 inch big square to cut out all my blocks. I love the little 1 inch by 10 inch ruler because I'm going to use that in a moment, and I use this one so much, my 12 by 6 inch rulers. I've got these on our website if you want to check them out. Now, if this was on my fabric, I would be lining up that centre point and drawing with my Bohin Fabric Pencil. Okay, this is the pencil I'm using. But as you know, I'm drawing on paper, so I'm using the dark felt tip pen so you can see it. So on my fabric, I'll be drawing this very lightly through the centre. Okay, now I'm going to switch to this ruler because I find it's a lot easier to manage. Now we're going from that centre point to this centre point. Once again. So we're going right to the edge of the fabric because it won't affect the shape too much. But if you only wanted to come to that point there, but remember this might pull in and the size might change a bit. So I find going right to the outside edge is going to allow me to square it up a lot better. So we're creating like a diamond shape. Sorry, my pencil's just not drawing properly. So we have that diamond. Now we're going to come back and draw lines 1/2 inch apart. But we're only going to go, I've got my 1/2 inch line drawn up on that line. I'm not going to draw right up to this line, I'm only going to draw to the centre point. To that centre line. See that? Because we get that little arrowhead in there. This is where this little ruler is so very handy because I can visually see everything a lot better. So draw to that centre line. Draw to that centre line. And if you've got your measurements right, this all should line up. Okay, and you're just going to keep going around, filling that in. I'll just quickly scoot around here. You know, sometimes it's worth taking the time to draw up something neat like this because it can look so effective. It's simple, but it gives impact. And that's what I like in the quilt. And because this quilt we're making through this program is like a sampler, I think it's a great idea for you to trial all of these different things I'm presenting because it will allow you to look back at it in the future for different things that you're making. And it will make it very easy for you to understand and look at your different things to see what's going to suit. And if you're drawing up on paper first like I am to get the idea of things, put these papers in a folder. Use them for your resource later on for other things that you might like to come back and do. So if you make a mistake and if you're using that Bohin Fabric Marking Pencil, remember you can always erase it out, but you're only going to press very lightly. Just very faint lines so that you can just see that line when you go to your machine and have your machine light on, or you might like another light alongside your machine so you can see the lines better. But if you're using the grey lead from the Bohin pencil, the harder you push down, the harder it's going to be for you to wash it out. So please remember that. So, you know, like you might get to that stage and you might want to come back and put some curves in here from, you know, the little curves on the feather templates. You might like to use the dot to dots and put a centre line in here. See what you can come up with. I'm just going to fill in with 1/2 inch lines. But it should all come out nice and neat for you and all even. And see how handy this little ruler is. Just does a great job for me. There you go. Now you could continue those lines all the way out, but if you want to make it really interesting, come back through, line up through the centre here and draw a line and then come 1/2 inch out with that. Oops, go over that one a bit darker for you. And just keep filling in. And you're probably going to think there's going to be a lot of starting and stopping here. No, there's not. The way I'm going to show you to do it, there won't be a lot of starting and stopping. But if you repeat that all the way around the outside edge, you'll get a really nice design. Be a nice flow. Once again, it's another nice fill-in. Simple but nice. And as you can see, back on the block that I've already quilted, you can see how I've got that diamond in the middle and then I've got the radiation coming out from the edges. So try that one. Very, very simple. F2 if you're going to follow the sequence that I'm following. Now the last one we've got to show you is A3. Once again, straight lines, 1/2 inch straight lines. A3, 5 by 11. 5 by 11. I've drawn my 1/2 inch around the outside edge. Now I've just got some measurements that I've worked with. I did this at random, but you know, just to give you some measurements. I haven't found the halfway of this. I want it off centre. So what I've done is I've come down from this line down to the bottom of my page. I've measured down 8 inches. Okay, measure down and put a little mark. Okay, then I've measured from here up to this line 4.5 inches. Let's come to the outside, 4.5. And then I've just drawn a line across from point to point. Then once again, fill in with your 1/2 inch. You might want to do 1/4 inch. You might want to do just a grid on this piece of fabric, a 1/2 inch grid, which would look fabulous as well. You know, like go one way and then come back the other way. Be creative. Do what you think is going to work right for you. Because, you know, you're probably using different coloured fabrics to what I'm going to use. You may not be making the whole quilt. You may be just making some random blocks to put into something else. You may be working on another quilt that you're going to use some of these tips on. So you'll just make up your mind to what's going to suit. So I'll just fill this little bit in here. I think my pen's just going to get me to finish this block, and then I'll have to invest in a new one. Okay, so there's that part. Now the next part we want to come down. I'll just turn this around to face myself. So what we want to do here is, so we've got this section done here. So now we're going to work out this other way, but we want this little bit in here. So we could figure out where we want that to be. How far across have I come? Let's say we've come across 3 inches. Let's put a mark there. And we'll do one line here. So you may want to come up now. What we want to do, I'm going to show you this. We're going to draw to this line, but we're going to stop drawing here. We're not going to go up to that next ½ inch. So I'm going to line the inch mark up on this line that I've drawn. There's my inch. I'm only going to draw up to that ½ inch line. Okay. Then the same this way. Stop a ½ inch from that previous line. Once again, move it in. Stop that ½ inch away. Stop. So that, and you can see, as I said before, how handy is this little ruler. Stop the ½ inch. You know, if I was using a bigger ruler, it'd be very fiddly there. And then we just fill in with the ½ inch again. There's nothing hard about this one. So the exciting thing is, we just have one more lot of designs to draw up, where I'm going to introduce you to set F of our quilting templates. I'm going to show you in the next episode how to use those and create a lot of different designs on the remaining blocks. Now once we've got those blocks drawn up, the episode after that is we're going to be at your sewing machine teaching you how to set it up, how to do the adjustment that I do on my machine. So you're going to need your manual, because you're going to have to figure this out for yourself, because I'm not there with you in your sewing room. So, but we'll explain a lot to you on how to set your machine up to control quilt so you will not be free motion quilting. We'll be doing all of this quilting with our feed dogs up, our stitch length set, and then we're going to make a special adjustment on your sewing machine. Then you'll be a perfect quilter. If you can't make the adjustment on the machine, we'll try and make it as simple as what we possibly can for you. So get your homework done. Join us for the next lesson, where we're going to introduce you to template set F. They're a beautiful tulip with some gorgeous leaves involved. So there's 3 templates in the pack. If you don't already have them, hop onto our website, www.pqw.com.au, and get a set for yourself, because we're going to show you some really beautiful designs that you can create using set F templates. So happy drawing till we see you next time. Bye for now.